Okay, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today is Thursday, January 20th. Pretty cool. It snowed last night in Tzfat and there's still some snow on the ground. It's freezing outside, so everybody's just staying in today, which is fun. Also, before we start the video, I'm working on two beautiful new songs that will hopefully be out soon. So if you're listening to my music, that's a little update for the people who listen to my music. But yeah, we're going to continue. Like I spoke about last week, I want to read more Breslov history from Rebbe Nachman, from the beginning of his life till the end of his life. Not everything, but just interesting stories and interesting steps that happened along the way. And today we're going to talk about how Rebbe Nachman, how his name started becoming, I guess, more famous in the world. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, there was people that he had followers already from the time he was 13, a few followers and a few people. But how did he become so, famous that his name spread out through the whole entire land of Ukraine, Russia, whatever it was back then? And that people were coming from all over, and he got more chassidim. So how did his name start becoming bigger? So there's two stories over here that are in the Sefer Siach Sarfei Kodesh. If you don't know, this is your first time watching a video or whatever, Siach Sarfei Kodesh is a collection of oral traditions of Breslov, Chassidus, passed down for many years, and they reprinted a new volume, 3 new volumes of it last year or whatever. Looks like this, really awesome book. And so this stories that we're going to read today, there's 2 stories in here. This is when Rebbe Nachman was still living in the town of Osatin. That's where he got married to the daughter of Rav Ephraim of Osatin. So he was still living there. And the first story goes like this. So it says that when Rebbe Nachman was living, I'm just going to try to read it like always trying to find the right good angle over here. Like this. So it says that when Rebbe Nachman was living, and he was still being supported by his father-in-law, Rabbi Ephraim in Kfar Osatin, and his father-in-law had yartzeit. Came to the day that his father-in-law had yartzeit for his father, and they went to the town of Alexandrivka, not Alexandria, Alexandrivka. Hasamuch l'sham. It says over here in a footnote that the distance to Alexandrivka, why can't I pronounce it? It's like the most ridiculous thing. Is 35 kilometers from the ear of Turin. Wow. The reason they went to, because they didn't in this little village of Osatin, they didn't even have a minyan of people for tefillah. So I guess he went to Alexandrivka, whatever it's called. Let's just call it the town of Alexandrivka. Okay. They didn't have a minyan, so they went to this town to get a minyan. And his father-in-law Rabbi Ephraim took Rabbi Nachman with him. And when they came to the Beis HaMidrash, and the people and the young people that were there, they saw Rabbi Nachman for the first time, and they were like, oh, this guy looks cool, he looks holy, what's going on with him? They wanted to start having a shaykhus, and they wanted to start speaking with him, but they didn't know what to do. So anyway, after they davened, they went to go buy mashke for the yartzeit, to make a l'chaim for the yartzeit, whatever, and Rabbi Ephraim gave to all the people in the Beis Medrash schnapps, whatever, and the Bnei Nu'urim, these people in the Beis Medrash, they asked from Rabbi Ephraim that he should tell Rabbi Nachman to learn a parak of Mishnayos. I think they wanted to test him if he knows how to learn. I don't know why they asked him dafka learn Mishnayos, but that's what they asked him to. So just make sure we're recording. We are recording. V'chein asa, and this is what they did, and this is what happened. Rabbi Nachman Rabbi Nachman turned his face to the wall, and he took a mishnayos, and he learned, and he put on a stender, and he learned. And I guess they were in great wonderment, I think, from his, or he stayed in that he stayed in learning for a long time, and they had to wait for him to make a l'chaim. Fine, so they sat down. I don't know, that's a very interesting part of the story, whatever. And now they started talking to him or whatever. What's it called? Right, so they saw that he was learning for a long time, and they were like, okay, what's the deal? So they told Rabbi Ephraim, tell him to stop. They realized, I guess, that he could learn or whatever, and they wanted to start talking to him and see who this guy is or whatever. And they sat down and they made a l'chaim. Then Rabbi Nachman, this is the part of the story that's the main part of the story, is then Rabbi Nachman took his hand, Rabbi Nachman put his hand on the face of his father-in-law, Rabbi Ephraim, and Rabbi Ephraim fainted. And then they started waking him up, and when they woke him up, they asked him what happened. And he says, when Rabbi Nachman put his hand on my face, I saw my father, who is the yahrzeit. I was standing across from him. I said to him, and he said, Ra'es hamanoyach shoyla yahrzeit achrav oimoid lenegdoi. I think he's saying that he saw his father when Rabbi Nachman put his hand on his face. Sorry, I'm just a little confused because the story is whatever. But when Rabbi Nachman put his hand on his face, Rabbi Nachman's father-in-law fainted, and he saw his own father, who had the yahrzeit, and his father-in-law was telling him, "L'chasen kazeh oimrim sheyilmod mishnayos." For a son-in-law like this, a chasen like this, you're going to tell him to only learn mishnayos, meaning that he knew how holy he really was. V'chi kishiyesh l'cha chasen kazeh. When you have a chasen like this, you don't ask him that's what you're going to ask him to do, to ask him to learn mishnayos, and that's why he fainted. He got so scared and he fainted. So everybody saw this, and everybody was very in great wonderment, obviously. And then from then on, the shame of Rebbe Nachman's name became famous, that he was from one of the big tzaddikim, and people started going to him, and they started becoming closer to Hashem because of Rebbe Nachman. So that is the first story of how Rebbe Nachman's name started. How Rebbe Nachman's name started becoming famous in the world. And the second story, how Rebbe Nachman's name started becoming how his name started becoming famous, it happened to be in the same city of Alexandrovika. Rebbe Nachman was there one time on a bris milah. He was there for a bris, and while they were at the bris, people came in. Other Jews came into the bris. They were screaming and crying about a Jewish girl that was missing, and she went missing from the house of her father, and they don't know where she is. And they said that there's a priest there, a koimer, who did not like the Jews at all, and he would always try to find the Jewish girls, the Bnei Yisrael, and he would try to make them go off the D. He would try to make them not Jewish anymore, not from. And now that she's disappeared, so everybody was obviously, they're like, oh, it's for sure this guy, it's for sure this priest messing with us. So, and Rabbeinu obviously wanted to save this girl from shmad, from being a not religious person or whatever, from going off the derech. And he said to everybody there, just straight up, he said, the girl is in the city of Alexandrovika, which is to say that they're in by the priest. He said, take a few strong people that go to the house of the priest, and she'll look through the window, make her like a sign that she should come, And then she'll calm down, and then and take her to a different city. V'kach also, this is what they did. V'niskama haftachos Rabbeinu Zal, and this is exactly what happened. That they went there. The girl was looking out the window. She saw them. She ran down. She escaped. Like how Rebbe Nachman said exactly how it was going to happen, which is pretty wild. And when this matter became known to the non-Jews, that the girl escaped, and the Jews took her back, they took sticks and axes and whatever, and they wanted to come kill the Jews that took the girl back. And they wanted to take her back to the house of the Kaimer. And the Jews were very, very scared. They had pachad gadol. So now they were really scared. So what did they do? And they knew that Rebbe Nachman, the first time already saw Beruach HaKodesh, that he had Ruach HaKodesh, that he knew already where this girl was. Okay? Just like nobody knew, and he knew right away. So now they came back to Rebbe Nachman, and who was sitting again in the Suda's Bris Milah. I guess this happened all in a matter of a few hours. V'az Amar Lahem Rebbe Nachman, you guys also go out with sticks and axes and everything, and when these non-Jews see that you're coming out to fight them, they're also going to get scared and they're going to run. V'chein hava. Acher kach, after all this, Rebbe Nachman said to call this certain bacher. He was a Baal Malacha, means he worked. Kimeduma shal yisandler, a schuster bacher. He was a shoemaker. V'yitzil lefanov as bas Yisrael zula shidduch avurei. And he told this bacher that this girl, you should marry this girl, whatever, as a shidduch. And he warned the bacher, and he said to him, this is in Yiddish, but I'm going to read the part in Hebrew. He says, sometimes there will be a time where a husband and there will be a time in your marriage where a husband and wife will fight. That's in every marriage. Anytime you fight, make sure that you never ever bring this up, that she was in the base kaimer, like that she went to there and ran away or whatever. And if you do this, then I promise you that you're going to have very, very awesome children. V'chein hava, and he married the girl. And it says over here that Rabbi Avin Bar Nachman said that he knew the children of this girl and this bacher, and that they were Rabbanim Gedolim V'loimdim Umeflugei Torah. So Rabbi Nachman's promise came to be. Okay, now this last part over here, now it says over here that this story with the Bris Milah was at the end of Rabbi Nachman's living in the city of Osatin. And through these two stories that happened with the Bris Milah and also with the story of his father-in-law with the Yortzeit, that Rabbi Nachman's name, whether or not he liked it or not, started becoming famous. Because Rabbi Nachman's Ratzon was really just to serve Hashem quietly and everything, but now that he was forced, he was muchrach to show his Ruach HaKodesh to save this girl from Shmad in the house of the Kaimer, and also in the first story that his name became famous through the story with his father-in-law and his father-in-law's father that he saw. So in his fame so he had to become famous, because when Hashem sees, it says over here that when Hashem sees that the tzaddik is going to help people, so it doesn't make a difference how much he wants to be hidden. Hashem will reveal him, and that's it. That's the stuff. So that's how Rabbi Nachman started becoming famous, and then Rabbi Nachman moved from the city of Osatin to the city of Medvedevka, and that is where we will stop today, and next week we'll start learning about stuff about Medvedevka, and then from Medvedevka he goes to Zlatopolia, and from Zlatopolia he ends up in Breslov, and then in Breslov he ends up in Uman. After Breslov he ends up in Uman. So there's a whole sipur, there's a whole journey that Rabbi Nachman took, different places and everything like that. So we're going to do that next week. All right, I hope everybody enjoyed. And yeah, we'll see you all next week.